Hi friends, this is Vishal Nadapura, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Dr. Subhash Technical Campus, Junagadh. Welcomes you in a lecture series of fluid mechanics. In previous lecture, in previous chapter, we had studied dimensional analysis, and in that chapter we have discussed about dimensional analysis, advantages of dimensional analysis, different dimensions or fundamental dimensions and derived dimensions, dimensions of different physical quantities, dimensional homogeneity of an equation, Rilling method for dimensional analysis, and lastly we have seen the example, and with the example we have studied Rilling method and deep. Today we are going to start a new chapter, which is the laminar flow, or in sometimes it is also called as a viscous flow. And today we will see the characteristic of laminar flow or Reynolds experiment, and lastly, flow of the viscous fluid in the circular pipe. And we have derived the governing equation for that circular pipe. So let's begin with the introduction of laminar flow. So according to the Newtonian fluid, we can divide the flow in two types: laminar flow, say viscous flow, or turbulent flow. If the value of the characteristic Reynolds number, which is equal to rho Vd by mu, actually here d L is the called as a in a linear dimension. So in practical terms, it is also considered as a rho Vt by mu. And according to the number of this Reynolds number, these two types of fluid are divided. If the value of Reynolds number is greater than 4,000, then it is called as a turbulent flow. And if the value of is less than 2,000, it is called as a laminar flow. In this chapter, we will concentrate on the fluid which have a Reynolds number less than 2,000, say a laminar flow or viscous flow. And the governing equation will be a equation of Newton's law of viscosity, which is also called as a Newton's law. And if we see the example of laminar and viscous flow, it is the flow past tiny body. If any body is in rest position and the flow over this tiny body, it is called as a laminar flow. Then underground flow of water, movement of the blood in the arteries of the human bodies, and flow of oil in the measuring instrument, and rise of water in the plants through their roots. So these all are the example of laminar flow. Let's see the characteristic of the laminar flow. Laminar flow, there is a no slip at the boundary because the layer which is just adjacent to the boundary, or which is in close contact with the boundary, have a zero velocity. So there is a no slip. It is perfectly in stick condition, stick with the boundary. Due to the viscosity, there is shear stress between fluid layers. So when fluids move from one place to another place or transform this place, it will move layer by layer, and the bottom layer, which is in close contact with the boundary, it have a very zero velocity or almost no velocity. And just a layer above this layer, it have a little bit higher velocity in comparison to that velocity. And as you go further, as you move away from the boundary, the velocity will eventually rise. So there will be a shear stress between any two fluid layers, and the flow is rotational flow. Due to the viscous shear, there is a continuous dissipation of energy, and for maintaining the flow of energy, you must have to supply external energy to continue the flow. Loss of energy is proportional to the first power of velocity and the first power of viscosity. So that we will discuss in the coming lectures, that loss of energy into the uh, viscous flow. No mixing between the different fluid layers, because fluid moves in the layer by layer position. So there is a no difference, no mixing of the one layer with the another layer, because this both have a two different velocity. And when I try to interchange its path or layer, it have to suffer either increase or decrease its velocity, and these are a lot of consequences. So it will not change its layer. So mixing will not occur in this type of flow. The flow remains laminar as long as the value of rho VL by mu is less than the critical value of the Reynolds number, which is nothing but the value equal to 2000. Sorry, it is something like this. The value is again 2000. So value of this rho VL by mu, say it is Reynolds number, is less than 2000. In that case, the flow remain laminar flow. So after considering the characteristic, let's study the Reynolds experiment, uh, on the basis of which Reynolds had derived the critical value of the Reynolds number and the critical value for the transition of Reynolds number from laminar flow to the transient flow to the turbulent flow. Let's first understand the instrument. It is a one tank have a constant head, and the water is filled inside this tank. So it is called as a constant head tank. And another tank containing a dye or say any other color than the water. So this the flow of this dye we can visualize easily. This is just an M, nothing else. So tank containing a dye or any other color dye, and it have a just opening in the center of the pipe, which is which is near to the bottom, and it has some length L, and here in that pipe it is an regulating valve. So let's understand first. Let's consider the water have viscosity mu. Pipe has a diameter d, and the length of the pipe is L from say here to here. So after considering this, and again let's consider the flow of fluid within the inside the pipe have a velocity v. So we have all the parameter readily available. Say density of water is rho, then viscosity of water is mu, length of the pipe is L, the velocity is v. This parameter that already we have here, we will vary uh, the velocity only, and according to this velocity, the Reynolds number will be differ every time for every experiment. Rho is constant, dynamic viscosity at particular temperature is also constant, and length is constant because it is an physical quantity, physical parameter of the pipe. So the experiment done by the O. Reynolds, Osborne Reynolds in 1833. First, what he had done to perform this experiment. First, he started. First, he arranged all the all the equipment like this, and with the help of valve, he started he allowed the dye to flow in this pipe, and he just observed the line or the eccentricity. He just observed uh, the line here, which is made by the dye or any other color fluid which is filled in the tank. And what we has observed, by controlling a different velocity, he can control the velocity from the pipe from the regulating valve. When he use different velocity, then he get this type of result. First result is with very low velocity. With very low velocity, he get the filament like this, dye filament like this, say very linear, exactly in straight position. And then when it increases the some velocity, it gets the some this type of wavy filament for that particular dye with some higher velocity. And for the extreme velocity or for some certain extreme number, it does not have any, he didn't get any type of line here, and the filament or the dye is completely destroyed, and it will dissolve into the water. So what could be the reason here? In all these three cases, he just change or he vary velocity. In first cases, it have a very low velocity. In second case, it had a little bit higher velocity in comparison to this, and in turbulent flow, or in this case, it have a very high velocity. So what happens in these three all cases? So in these all three cases, he is as per his name, he derived the one number, say Reynolds number, which is nothing but the rho v d, say diameter of the pipe, divided by mu. So in this equation, rho is constant, diameter is constant, and mu is constant at particular temperature. So according to the velocity, Reynolds number will change. With very low velocity, Reynolds number is very less. With some higher velocity, Reynolds number is high, and with very high velocity, Reynolds number is very high. So in this case, what he has observed, that with the increase of velocity at a certain point, when the value of Reynolds number is 2000, or when the value of Reynolds number crosses the 2000, he observed that he got the wavy line. So it is just considered as a transient flow. And further increase of the velocity, and when the value of this Reynolds number according to this velocity crosses the value of 4000, then you get the result like this. So it is called as a turbulent flow when very high velocity. So what is the characteristic in these three different type of observation? So in first observation, it is a laminar flow with a very low velocity, and the Reynolds number is less than 2000. In that case, what he has observed, all the particle of the fluid will flow in a layer by layer position, and any other layer as the characteristic we have discussed characteristic, no particle or no mixing of two layer he had observed. Whereas in the second case, where the Reynolds number is higher than 2000 and less than 4000, what he had observed, it is not any type of flow because it is in transient state. It can call it a laminar flow, as well as you can call it as a turbulent flow. So this is not any type of flow. Here it is, though it is given, but it is in transient state. It may be a laminar flow, it may be a turbulent flow. It is not any type of flow. So if the value of Reynolds number is greater than 2000 and less than 4000, it is called as a transient flow. In this case, it have a mixed characteristic of both laminar as well as turbulent flow. And if the value of velocity like that, the Reynolds number, value of Reynolds number is greater than 4000, and in this case, there is a no filament like member. All the dye will directly dissolve into the water. So this is the experiment performed by the Reynolds experiment, and this is the result. And this is the critical value which decides the type of flow according to the Reynolds number, or according to the Newton's law of viscosity. Okay, then we will derive the governing equation for the flow of viscous fluid in the circular pipe. So let's consider one circular pipe, and for the circular pipe, another very small circular area of a cylinder is considered for the sake of simplicity, and we will derive the equation for this cylindrical volume and apply for whole pipe. So let's first understand the physical dimension. So physical dimension, diameter or radius of the pipe is R, say capital R, the radius of the pipe. And we have considered two different sections, section 1 and section 2. And section 1 and length wise difference between section 1 and 2 is L here. And what we have considered here, it is the cylindrical volume. Now for the consideration, or for the calculation purpose of the governing equation, let's consider the fluid is Newtonian fluid, and there is a no slip of the fluid particle at the boundary. So it is a perfect viscous fluid. Now we will try to derive with considering the pressure force and shear force occurring or acting on this cylindrical volume. Let's consider cylindrical volume have a radius of small r, which is noted here. And for the calculation purpose of pressure force, we must have to consider first intensity of pressure multiplied by the area. Then in that case, we can calculate the total pressure force. So first, on the left hand side of the cylindrical volume, intensity of pressure is, let's suppose, P, and thus the pressure force will be P into pi r square. Pi r square is nothing but the cross section area of this cylindrical volume. If the intensity of pressure is P on the left hand side, then on the right hand side, the intensity of pressure is other than P. It may be increased or it may be decreased. That we cannot say at this moment. That is according to the flow and the direction, and all many parameters consider effect on this flow in that case. So let's consider the rate of change of pressure in the direction of S is del P by del X. So in opposite side, or on the opposite side, intensity of pressure is P plus del P by del X times dx. Dx is nothing but the distance, length of the cylindrical volume. So it in intensity of pressure on the left hand side is P, whereas on the right hand side it is P plus del P by del X into dx. Del P by del X is nothing but the rate of change of pressure in the x direction, and it is here a partial derivation. So we consider the pressure variation in the vertical direction or the perpendicular to the x direction is neglected here. And if this is the intensity of pressure, then pressure force will be a intensity of pressure times area. So it is again pi r square or pi by 4 d square simply. Now another force act here on the cylindrical volume is shear stress or shear force. And for this, let's suppose tau is shear stress, and if the tau is the shear stress, then shear force will be tau into area on which the shear force acts. So shear force acts on the peripheral area of the cylindrical. So peripheral area will be a 2 pi r into dx. So 2 pi r is the periphery times the length. Length is the dx. So 2 pi r dx is the peripheral area of the cylinder times the stress or shear stress. So this is shear stress. This is the shear force acting on the cylindrical volume, and it will always act opposite to the flow of the fluid. And here the direction of the flow we have already considered from left to right direction. So here we consider only two forces. One is the pressure force, another is the shear force. And let's consider that cylindrical portion or cylindrical volume is in the equilibrium condition. So net force on the cylindrical volume is 0. So left hand side or is if we consider left to right direction is the positive, then P into pi r square, it is the left to right, so it is positive. This x on the perpendicular direction and opposite direction, so it will be negative. So minus P plus L P by del X into dx. This is another pressure force. So this whole bracket is a pressure force. Now again, shear force is also acting in the opposite direction. So it will be again negative. So minus tau equal to tau times 2 pi r into dx equal to 0, because already we have considered this is in equilibrium condition. And after getting simplification, when you open the bracket, P into pi square, P into pi square will be cancelled out, and dx pi r dx pi r will be cancelled out, and the remaining term will be tau equal to minus del P by del X into r by 2. So this is the relation between shear stress and radius of the cylinder. What does it indicates? It indicates the shear stress variation with respect to r has a linear relation, because this del P by del X will a rate of change of pressure with respect to x direction, and it will be a constant for a particular pipe at particular velocity. So tau is directly proportional to the radius, and thus we can say the graph within the pipe for the shear stress distribution is linear. So at the center it is 0, and when r value of r will increase, it will increase and it is maximum at the boundary. So this is the shear stress variation in the pipe when the viscous flow is flowing or viscous fluid is flowing in the pipe. So now let's try to derive the equation of velocity from that relation previously we got. So previously we got the equation tau equal to minus del P by del X into r by 2. So after removing this tau and put the relation between tau and velocity, we get the relation between velocity and radius r. So to replace this tau, we have to use the Newton's law of viscosity equal to tau equal to mu into du by dy, where tau is the shear stress, mu is the dynamic viscosity, and du by dy is the shear strain or the rate of shear strain, or simply a velocity gradient. But here one thing we have to keep in mind is here dy is the linear relation, or it is the linear relation between two layers in vertical direction. But here for the pipe we are using a radial direction. Though it is an linear relation, but it is in radial direction. So we have to convert this linear relation y into in the form of r. So in this case, y we measure from the boundary of the surface. Boundary of the pipe. So we measure the y in this direction. So we can replace y as a r minus r, because r is the total distance from here to here, and r is the distance of cylinder. In this figure we can say we can measure here. R is the distance from here to here. R is the total distance or total radius, and y we are measuring in this direction. So we can say y equal to r minus r, and thus by derivating this equation on both the side, dy equal to minus dr, because r is the constant, it's a physical value. So derivation will be 0. So dy equal to minus dr. Put this value of dy in this equation, you will get the equation like this: tau equal to minus mu into du by dr, where u is the change of velocity and dr is the radial distance between two layers. So this equation is ready to use for the purpose of the flow inside the pipe, or the viscous flow inside the pipe. By comparing this value of tau, if we put the value of tau into equation, tau equal to minus del p by del x into r by 2, we get the relation like this. And to make velocity, or to derive the equation of velocity, make velocity component or the velocity term as a capital of the equation, then you get the equation du equal to 1 upon twice mu into del p by del x into r into dr, because negative will be cancelled out from both the sides. After getting this equation, by integrating this equation on both the sides, we get the equation of velocity. So by integrating with respect to r, we get the relation like this: u is equal to 1 upon 4 mu plus del p by del x into r square plus c, constant of integration, as this integration is without limit. So for the calculation purpose of this c, or value of constant c, we must have to apply the boundary condition at this stage. So what is the value of u at the boundary, and what is the value of r at the boundary? So applying this boundary condition, we can calculate the value of constant c. So as per figure, we can say here the value of u and the value of r. The value of r will be a capital R here, because r we are measuring from center. So at this point, say at cross mark position, at this position, value of r is capital R. Sorry, value of r is capital R here. At this point, value of r is capital R, and the value of u, as per the definition of the viscous flow, when the viscous flow comes in contact in a solid boundary, the flow will observe a zero velocity, or the velocity is zero, because the very most layer which is in close contact with the boundary, it have a zero velocity, or it will stick to the boundary of the pipe. So when the value of r is capital R, velocity is zero. Velocity will be 0. So put this value of u and r in this equation, you will get the value of c, and we get the value of c is minus 1 upon 4 mu del p by del x into r square. So put the value of this c in the equation of u, we will get the governing equation of velocity, which is minus 1 upon 4 mu del p by del x into r square minus r square. So this is the governing equation, or which gives the velocity at any point within the pipe, or for different value of the pipe. So from this equation, we can correlate the velocity and radius r. And another consequences of this equation, or the practical interpretation, is this: as all the other parameter, let's consider one by one. So 1 upon 4 mu is constant at a particular temperature. Del p by del x is a constant for a particular pipe, and r is the physical dimension, so it is also a constant, and minus will be a plus. So as the value of r increases, the velocity will increases twice, or we can say second power. So this both have a relation of second power, or square root relation. As the r will increases, so it have a relation between a parabolic relation between u and r. So by this way, we can draw a graph just here. Velocity. The velocity is 0 at the surface, and as you grow, or as the value of r is grow, then velocity will be increases, and it will be a maximum at the center of the pipe. So let's calculate the value of maximum velocity. From this relation, to calculate the maximum velocity, put the value of put the value of r at the center of the pipe, which is nothing but the 0. So when you put r equal to 0, you will get the value of u, which is nothing but which is equal to minus 1 upon 4 mu del p by del x into r square. So this is the value of maximum velocity at the center of the pipe. So this is the relation, or this will equation gives you the relation u is equal to u max in bracket 1 minus r upon r square, r upon r all square, which is nothing but the that you can derive by putting the value of u max in this equation. So you get the relation between velocity or general velocity and maximum velocity. After getting this velocity, let's try to calculate average velocity and thus the discharge. So for the discharge purpose, let's consider in the circular pipe, let's consider a very small ring of radius r, and the thickness of this very elemental ring is a small dr. So this area is with the ratio, sorry, with the radius, sorry, thickness dr, and from the center it have a radius equal to small r. This is nothing but the cylinder we have considered already for the analysis purpose. So first we will calculate, first we will derive the equation of discharge through this elemental ring, and to getting the discharge for the whole pipe, we will integrate it from r equal to 0 to r equal to capital R. So dq, as per the definition of the discharge, or sorry, volume flow rate or discharge, dq is equal to u into area in which it is flowing, say velocity into area. So velocity is, let's consider u, and the area of this molding is 2 pi r dr. So this is the velocity. This is the equation of a discharge flowing through a very small elemental ring. And by putting the value of u here from the previous equation, u is equal to u max into 1 minus r upon r whole square times 2 pi r dr. So this is the equation of discharge, or very small discharge flowing through the this elemental ring. And for to getting the total discharge, integrate this q with limit r equal to 0 to r equal to capital R. So by putting this value and taking out all the constant values at 2 pi and u max, and after doing a simple integration, just a simple integration, we get the result like this: pi by 2 into u max into r square. So this is the total discharge flowing through the pipe. Now for getting the average velocity, we must have to divide this total discharge divided by the area of the pipe. So we get the average velocity u bar equal to q by area. So pi by 2 u max into r square divided by pi r square. R square will be cancel out, pi will be cancel out, and u max by 2. So we get another important relation, u bar equal to u max by 2. So average velocity in the viscous flow in circular pipe is half of the maximum velocity which occur into the center. Now substituting the value of u max, we get the u bar equal to 1 upon 8 mu into del p, minus 1 upon 8 mu del p by del x into r square. And thus we just rearrange the equation just to calculate the pressure drop between two sections of the pipe, which we have considered already. So make del p as a capital, and all the remaining term throw on the outside. So we get del p minus del p equal to L 8 mu u bar upon r square into del x. To get the pressure difference between, just integrate on both the side from section 1 and 2. So for pressure, the section 1 pressure is P1, and section 2 pressure is P2. And for these two sections, distance is x1 for the section 1 and x2 for the section 2. Now after doing integration, we get the relation P1 minus P2 equal to 8 mu u bar upon r square into x2 minus x1. x2 minus x1 is nothing but the distance between two sections, which is we have already taken as a L. So we get the equation of 8 mu u bar L upon r square. But whenever we think about the pipe, we always use its diameter instead of its radius. So convert this radius into the diameter, we get the relation 32 mu u bar L upon d square. This is nothing but the pressure difference between two sections of the pipe when viscous fluid is flowing in the pipe or in the circular pipe. So this is the just a pressure difference. But if you want to calculate head difference between these two, or the total head loss between these two sections, we have to divide this equation on both the side divided by specific weight, say rho g. So if we divide this rho g on both the side, we get the equation or equation of head loss in the pipe flow when circular pipe flow of viscous fluid in circular pipe, and which is equal to 32 mu u bar L upon rho g d square. So this equation of head loss in the circular pipe when the viscous fluid is flowing, it is called as a Hazen-Poiseuille formula, and it is very most important formula for the derivation purpose. That is all for today, friends. Let's summarize what we have done today. We started with the characteristic of the laminar flow. We first see the two types of flow, laminar flow and turbulent flow. And then we have seen Reynolds experiment and the three different consequences of Reynolds experiment. And then we have derived the Hazen-Poiseuille formula, which is used for the flow of viscous fluid in the circular pipe. Okay, thank you, friends.